What's going on, everyone? CryptoVatsik here with another technical analysis video for you. Nothing of what you're about to see is considered financial advice, and they're just my opinions. As always, if you enjoy this content, I would really appreciate it if you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into some charts. Okay, you guys, today I'm going to be covering Kaspa because I think it is one of the most interesting altcoins on the market right now with respect to its chart. And I shared something on my Twitter on Kaspa in March where I had said Kaspa is one of my favorites so far this bull run. Time and time it has proven relative strength. This is going so much higher. And you'll just notice in the chart here, I'd marked out a chop zone where I didn't really care if it chopped around too much in, which is derived in the yellow here. Ultimately, I did not want to see price in the red zone, which was kind of the last level of support to maintain the bullish structure. But I saw that it was forming a new range off of this high and starting to form a low of a more elevated range, which I anticipated we would soon start to press that range high. So let's just get back into the chart here and see exactly what happened. We did in fact get a false range bottom here. In other words, just a false bottom. Our true bottom did end up coming down into the red zone here. So we were very much toying with that bullish market structure of maintaining higher lows and higher lows. We briefly dipped into the red zone only temporarily, and at that point confirmed our bottom, which confirmed our range low of this new range that we were trading in from the range high up here. So a bit deeper of a correction than I anticipated, but at the end of the day, we still got that push up into the range high by reclaiming the range EQ here, which sits just at the top of our yellow chop zone, okay? And then ultimately pushing that range high with even a few deviations above. So it is not confirmed a breakout. These are very much just fake outs, trapping liquidity. However, what I am seeing is a true breakout from the prior range that we had from back over here, where this was a massive breakout and fake out and almost on high time frame immediately closing back underside that range high and chopping around in that original range. But at this point now, a confirmed range breakout of that prior range. So I like to keep it on the chart just as a reference in case we do continue to do more of a dip and a sell-off, anticipating a tap of that prior range high. But ultimately, Kaspa is looking very strong, you guys. And I can't express this enough. When you look at the altcoin market right now, it is a sea of red. It's a sea of slow bleeds, just coins dying out, and some of them even making new lows, ones that had really good runs even. But time and time again, as I said in that tweet, Kaspa has proven itself and displayed massive relative strength. And what I mean by that is that when we get a dump, especially in the altcoin market, coins that do something like this and then just absolutely lose all sorts of levels and dump, it just looks like there's no support, there's no buyers, and everyone's jumping ship, versus a coin during that same exact dump that instead looks more something like this, where yes, there is a dump, but it's still maintaining an overall bullish structure. It's maintaining significant high time frame support levels, and then in some cases quickly recovering and pushing range highs again relatively quickly. That's what I mean by relative strength. And you'll notice that's exactly what Kaspa's been doing. We've had major sell-offs, okay, over the past 6 months. However, Kaspa has maintained an overall bullish structure and nearly immediately after that sell-off has made a new fresh high. We had it back here, we had a sell-off, fresh high. We had it here, sell-off, fresh high, and again and again and again, new high after new high. So this thing is just wanting to scream up. But as we all know, the altcoin market is pretty stagnant right now. It's pretty weak. We're all anticipating Bitcoin to show major strength first and then altcoins to follow, but Kaspa is just chomping at the bit, waiting for that chance. And you'll notice back here, we had quite a long-term ascending resistance from April 2023 right up until November 2023. And you'll notice it put some time in to formulate this resistance. You know, we had major sell-offs in the meantime, but ultimately respecting that diagonal until, of course, we got our major breakout and expanded up on that massive impulsive leg. So I'm not saying that this time is exactly the same, but I'll just flip to another chart and explain a bit more of my thinking. Okay, so here's Kaspa just on another exchange. And I just want to take note at a few things here. Okay, so first off, I've got the March 2024 monthly open on this level right here. And then I've also got the December 2023 monthly open on that below level right here. Okay, and just for context, let's go to the monthly so that it's very obvious. So you see that we've got our two monthly opens here and here with a absolutely monster wick here last month in July and putting in that fresh high that I talked about earlier. Okay, and now it looks to be just coming down and retesting that March 2024 monthly open here on the dotted line, potentially. So time will tell. However, interesting to note, okay, we've just flipped over to the weekly time frame now. And so other than the obvious, the wedges here, right? Clearly a form of a wedge that is developing here. It's not very clean. It might be cleaner on other exchanges, but in essence, we've got higher lows after higher lows, okay, on a ascending diagonal. diagonal. And at the same time, conversely, we've got higher highs and higher highs establishing itself here, forming this ascending wedge. Of course, the consequence of a wedge is price either ends up breaking out to the downside and having a major sell-off typically, or in bull markets can easily be breaking to the upside in a very strong asset. So what does this mean for Kaspa? Well, it just means we're essentially wedge bound, for lack of terms, range bound, but within this wedge, which is quite the distance, okay, from the high and the low. So if you're looking to trade it, you'd be looking into some lower time frame setups, looking at those previous lows, looking at the swing fail patterns that we're currently getting here, okay, where price is not really able to continue the trend. We are putting in fresh highs, but it's really stagnant and falling short each time. But what I want to take note of here specifically on Kaspa is the prior wedge that we had back here from April to October, November 2023. I talked about that diagonal of resistance that we had right here establish itself over time until we had that massive breakout. This was in essence another wedge that we were seeing form. Okay, it was a bullish structure, higher lows, higher highs, until price pinched, broke that resistance, and started a new macro impulsive leg to the upside. So essentially an ascending macro consolidation, right? From back here, from that sell-off, price leveling out, reclaiming range EQ, and then eventually tightening up until expansion. So zooming out, since price is fractal, as we all know, it's a very key thing to note that we could be seeing something very similar in the making, where we see price a bit stagnant until it ultimately compresses under that resistance level for an eventual macro breakout and new leg to the upside. Now, in order to look at some targets, I would essentially be looking at what has already happened, the historic price action, taking the fib extension tool, and for comparison, seeing how price reacted to the fibs off the previous impulsive leg to the upside that began this whole journey, okay? So let's take it from the beginning of this leg here, okay, bottom of the leg to the top, where then price started to sell off down to the eventual bottom, okay? So we can clearly see right off the bat, price was suppressed at the 1-to-1 extension level, meaning this next following leg is a 1-to-1 extension of the original first leg, meaning equal in size. You can see price clearly substantially suppressed at that stage until obviously it broke out. The next thing to note is how are the fibs respected on the way up, okay, these fib extensions. Well, first things to note is clearly the end of this following next leg completed at the 3618, and then thereafter just deviating above the 4236. Not much happened around the 2618 and the 1618 on the way up, but you will notice there is decent amount of interaction with it on that correction until the 2618 was reclaimed and then started pushing the elevated fibs. So I mean, lots of respect going on here. Some people might argue, oh no, you have to take the extension from down here. You guys, it doesn't make too much of a difference. It's not substantial enough for me. Okay, whether you take it from down here or you argue that it began here, the theory remains the same. And my thesis that these fibs are being respected on Kaspa at this moment has a little more confluence. So all of that is to say, now we look at the current macro consolidation that we are getting. I must be clear, there are a few ifs in here before I get into targets. Number one is we need to maintain bullish market structure, meaning we cannot break below these lows. Same as we did back here, we put in a low, we put in a higher low, we can come close to it, but we can't have something like this where it falls apart, breaks in a previous low, then it's invalidated. So first things first, maintain bullish market structure. Secondly, I'd like to see the March 2024 monthly open hold. If it doesn't, then I am looking to the December 2023 monthly open. So either it's going to look like something like this, where we maintain it, continue to press this until we break, or it's something like a bearish divergence on RSI, which I'll get into in a sec, and we get something like this, where we come down, back down to that December 2023 monthly open. And then at that point, we start getting into the break of the wedge. Then we got to go back to the previous chart that I had and start looking at horizontals, in my opinion, rather than these diagonals. But either way, those are some key levels and areas that I'm looking at right now. But if they are able to hold, okay, and the market, at least the altcoin market, gains its strength back relatively soon, and we see the bull market flourish as we're expecting later this year, then I use the same principle that we just used down here. Fib extension, take it from the beginning, the bottom to the top of this leg and down to the correction, okay, and that correction is all the way down here on that wick. Then we get some new fibs in price discovery to work with on Kaspa. And if you remember last time, we were getting price suppression under that 1-to-1 extension, which we may be getting again here or just starting to get. Keeping in mind, this is macro, so this can take a while. I mean, the previous consolidation here that we had took 217 days until we broke out. Okay, so keeping that in mind, if we do get that breakout, and I mean clear breakout, none of this kind of trading up and then immediately back under, you know, it's weak. You're getting bearish divergences in there. But if we do get that steady grind with a clean impulsive break, then I'm starting to look at these fibs here, the 1618, 2618, 3618, and even eventually the 4236 way up here. I think Kaspa has a chance to reach nearly $1. I really do, given its relative strength the past 6 months, given the massive run that it has had since inception. I see no reason why this can't push at least 60, 70 cents. So those would be the areas that I'm looking for. Okay, these are kind of your targets, so to speak, potential targets. You can leave them on the chart for future reference. One thing I will note, if you are looking at lower time frame though, okay, and you're trying to trade this, I would be cautious simply because there are bearish divergences here. Okay, let's pull up RSI. We've got a number of bearish divergences here, and it's not like they haven't happened. It has happened quite frequently, and it has been able to recover. You'll notice back here, we made a high, a higher high, a high in RSI, and a lower high in RSI. Bearish divergence, sell off. Okay, even here on a bit higher time frame, we made a high in price, a higher high, a high in RSI with a lower high in RSI, sell off. And now you'll see we're consistently making higher highs here, all the while making lower highs here in RSI, the high peaks here, taking it from the peaks. So we could be due for a more steeper correction, as I say, taking out some of the liquidity, coming back into some of these lows here, looking at that lower band of the wedge, potentially December 23's monthly open, as I said, all the while maintaining this critical demand zone down here. Okay, so shorter term could be due for some more flushing out, but longer term, I'm really excited about this one. I've covered it lots on my Twitter and on YouTube as well, so go back and watch. It's very exciting. It's got a promising future. And as I said, just relative strength itself is just crazy. So doesn't mean go and dump your capital into it, just one to watch out for. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and took something away from it. If you did, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'll catch you next time. Peace.